Anin, Bojo, Joel Egawissa and Dishtikas. Welcome to another episode of White Buffalo Circles at Home Edition. So this video is falling really close to National Aboriginal Day, and it's interesting because June is National Indigenous Peoples History Month, and June 21st is National Indigenous Day here in Canada. That day for me is, it's special. It's a time of celebration for our people and acknowledgement for Canadians. But every day for me is National Aboriginal Day. My job is to erase stereotypes here in this land and replace those with actual knowledge in our schools and curriculum. My job is to present history through an Indigenous lens, not the history that we're taught in those textbooks for the last generations that kind of leave out the Indigenous people in these lands. So for me, in the work that I do in the schools, every day is National Indigenous Day. And normally this weekend we'd be celebrating at a powwow or large gathering. So this is a very unique occasion where we're very isolated and doing a lot of things on social media and videos and stuff like that. So what I'd like to talk about today in this video is hair. For thousands and thousands of years here on Turtle Island, and the Anishinaabe people in the Ojibwe culture, men and women grew our hair long. And today in Canada, it's almost like one of those things where, people grew up thinking only girls wear pink. Well, only girls have long hair. And a lot of our students deal with that stereotype in the schools every day. And I'm very proud when I walk through our schools and I see students with the long hair, because there's spiritual significance behind that hair. There's teachings dating back, again, thousands of years here on Turtle Island. I'm going to share some of the teachings that I know with you about hair and why the Anishinaabe people grew our hair. That word in Ojibwe for fire is shkode. And shkode doesn't mean fire. Shkode talks about energy. The energy of all the living things in the universe, the energy that connects and binds us here on Mother Earth, connects us to the planet, to the leaves, the trees, the animals, the insects, the winged creatures, those creatures in the ocean. There's an energy that connects us, and that energy is that life, that beating inside of us, that spirit that is inside of those living things. So when you talk about our hair and the reason that Anishinaabe people grew our hair, you're talking about that energy and a connection to that energy. The easiest way I can explain it, and it's hard for younger generations today because they don't have antennas on radios, but growing up when we wanted to listen to the radio, you had an antenna on your radio. And if you had a long, powerful antenna, you could pick up stations from Toronto. You could pick up stations farther away. If you broke that antenna off right at the base, then you're only going to get those local stations really close to you. And that hair kind of acts like that antenna. When you grow out that hair as the Creator intended for humans to have that long hair, it opens up the connection to the spiritual energy in the forest and nature around you. And it was really interesting because when I started learning about this in college, there was a study that was done. I believe it was a military study in the United States. And what they did was they took recruits, cadets, before they shaved their heads. So they took long-haired cadets, and then they took cadets with shaved heads, and they did an experiment. Usually one of the first things that happens when you join the Army is they will shave your head. So they did this study to see if there was a difference between soldiers with long hair and soldiers with shaved heads. And what they did is they put those cadets out into a forest, a deep forest, dark forest, and they left them there alone. And then what happened was the soldiers would come in from a huge area around where that one soldier was, and they would slowly creep in to try to sneak up on that soldier. And what they found was with the soldiers that had their heads shaved, the soldiers that were coming in were getting really close. They were almost getting to a point where you could hear the crack in the bush, and then the soldier would look and he'd know somebody was there when he heard a crack in the bush. And then when they had the long hair soldiers in the exact same scenario, way out in the middle of the forest, and they started to bring in the soldiers closer and closer, you could see every time over and over. It was a proven study. The soldiers with the long hair, they would perk up. They would sense a shift in the force energy, and they would know something was coming from that direction without having heard or seen anything. So again, it's weird in our world today. You talk about spirit and ceremony and culture and these different things, and it's a world where you have to quantify and prove certain things. So I had faith and belief in that teaching about the hair to begin with, but that study really kind of put it into my head, like there really is something to this long hair. And again, a lot of our kids, when they're growing up in these schools and our mainstream Canadian schools, and they have to, they're trying to grow their hair and be proud of their traditional culture and heritage, they get made fun of, right? Because boys don't have long hair. So I'm really proud of a lot of students. Just at my school alone, Wyatt, Kumi, Wade, Henry, Harley, Cash, Diane, all these beautiful students growing out their long hair. Yeah, when I was growing up in school, um, my mom my mom loved my hair, so she wanted me always to have my long hair and grow my hair out. And I never had it really long where I could tie it back in a braid, but it was long enough that people would start to make fun of me, especially when it started to get longer. So growing up, it was that peer pressure that always made me want to cut my hair. Um, I didn't have any sort of tradition or culture or knowledge of the importance of hair, those teachings that I'm sharing with you today. So yeah, I would always keep my hair cut nice and short because the students again would make fun of me and would bully me about having that long hair. So when you guys see students out there in the schools with the long hair, those young boys, those young men, um, it'd be great if you could support them, not tear them down, not tell them that they look like girls or how come they got long hair and make a big deal out of it, because right here in this territory that you now call home, that we now call home, the men have grown their hair for thousands and thousands of years to have that strong spiritual connection to that natural world around us, to each other. So I would encourage you to encourage them, staff and students. When you see those boys out there in those schools growing their hair, it's not easy. They're taking flack, they're taking comments, they're getting bullied for that. And it'd be great if we as a country, we as a school board and as a society could help to support those students, because what they're doing is really important for their culture and to their people, to their ancestors and to the future, to have that proud, long Anishinaabe hair. When we go to ceremony, we braid it up into a nice braid. That's what we do when we dance a lot of the time and we do those ceremonies. And when I was about 15, I got my friend's clippers and I shaved my head. I was a basketball player growing up, and that was kind of the style. And I didn't have those teachings as a child either. So for most of my life, I have had a shaved head. And actually, when I was 20 years old, and I began to learn these teachings in my college program, I tried to grow my hair. It took me about 2 years. I was growing it out really long. I might have made it a year and a half. It's a 2-year process to really grow your hair out. So I maybe had it down to my shoulders right about here. And then some personal things happened in my life, and some policies changed in the city that I was living. So I ended up cutting my hair, and I really regretted it because I was getting so close to having to be able to tie it back and braid it. And then when I was 30, I decided I'm going to try to grow my hair again. So I did. I started to grow my hair again. But the thing about growing your hair out, when it's grown and you can tie it back, it looks pretty good. But there's a 2-year period where your hair is pretty wild, especially my hair. It's just thick and it really has no body to it, it just goes wherever it goes. So my wife was actually giving me a little bit of slack because I just looked like a madman with my crazy hair. And again, I couldn't push through that 2-year time that it takes to grow your hair. So during this pandemic, my wife and I had actually been talking about it prior to the pandemic, and we decided maybe if I shaved the sides and I kept a little bit of style to it, it wouldn't look so bad and I could grow out my hair. So that's kind of a silver lining with this whole pandemic, is that right there on March 13th, when we started March break, I stopped shaving my head. And I used to shave my head every Sunday. And it's these students in our schools that really inspired me and helped to give me strength to do that, because I know kids make fun of them. Kids call them names, and they're being bullied for having long hair as a boy. And I just want to say that just want to say I'm very proud of you guys, and you're an inspiration to me. So um, I've been trying to grow my hair these past 3 months now. Actually, I have been growing my hair these past 3 months. Um, can't make any promises. I don't know if I'll get weak again and have to cut it, once I get to a really crazy part. But when you see me in September live, you're gonna see a different looking Joel with a full head of hair. And I'm gonna post some pictures here on my video just over the last few months as I've been growing it out. And I'll take my hat off right now and show you guys where I'm at. So again, it's pretty crazy having hair at all, because 12 years I've had absolutely no hair, and again, yeah, this pandemic's kind of shut me in and allowed me this freedom to just do whatever I want with my hair. So Chimigwech, you guys out there, I really applaud your strength and your courage. Keep it up. Mr. Joel's super proud of you guys, and I really look forward to seeing you guys in September. So take care and be safe. Bama P. I'll see you soon.